Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my Introduction to Film Studies film ranking. So these are the films I watched in my Introduction to Film Studies University course module. My course is Film Studies and Media Studies, so it's Film Studies and Media Studies merged together at Andalusian University, Cambridge. And one of the courses as part of the one of the modules as part of the Film Studies course, side of the Film Studies side of the course, was Introduction to Film Studies, and we watched 7 films in this course, in this module, and they were Sherlock Jr, Suspiria, Hero, Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, Barton Fink, The Red Shoes, and Un Chat Andalou, aka A Alsatian Dog, in order of viewing. P.S. This is Suspiria the original. The remake came out about a month after we watched it. Well, at the end of the month, anyway. So, yes, that's the films we're going to be taking a look at, and I've ranked them into which order I have my preferred films. So, here we go. This is my ranking, starting, of course, with number 7. Number 7 is a film that I just couldn't get into. It's just one that I liked, but I couldn't get into it. I thought it was a good story, but it was just too damn long. Well, it's an hour and a half, but for what it was, it just felt a bit long, and it was a bit tiring. It was a good story, but it just didn't work 100% for me. And this is Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. It says song in the title, but considering this is a silent film, no talking, then the title's pretty much wrong. It should be a story of two humans, or a tale of two humans. But no, song of two humans. We don't even get an instrumental song, or a song played in the background. That title is wrong for me. But the story of a man who falls in love with another woman, and she tells him to kill his wife so that they can be together. That then leads to the man being unable to kill his wife, and the two have to reconcile with each other and spend a great day in town, and then come back home with the wife almost drowning in a storm, and eventually being found alive, and they continue to be together afterwards whilst the girlfriend runs off, is scared off, I should say. It's a good story, but I think there's just too much going on. I think for a silent film, anyway. I mean, you can be a silent film if you want, but I think there's just too much going on. Some of it's either too quick or too slow. The acting is pretty good because especially they have to use their facial expressions. But some of the stories, it just feels a bit odd. It's just hard to get into in some places. So, yeah, it's just me, personally. This is subjective. Objectively, I think it's a really good film, but subjectively, I just couldn't quite get into it. And the same could be said for my number 6 choice, and this one was a very talking film, and the next, almost another hour long. Or at least another 45 minutes. Number 6 is The Red Shoes. I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy the story for this one as much. I think it's good, but I don't think it was that great. The cinematography is amazing, and the sets, designs, and all the choreography, and all that, and costume and wardrobe. But the story, it just feels a bit odd, and it's strange that just halfway through the movie, it just has Vicky and Chris. Is it Christian? I might be wrong. But main male and female character leads are developing a romance, and then halfway, as soon as the first performance of the Red Shoes is done, they're dating. There isn't that much build-up. I think we should have had a little bit more build-up, or had a few more scenes where they started to fall for each other, but immediately after the first performance, dating. Just a bit odd. The ending, I think, is also a little bit odd. But I could see what they were trying to do, and it actually works for the film. The scene before that, where they're all just fighting over her, doesn't really work for me, though. I don't really get that. We had to look at the scene again a few more times, and I still never got into that scene. It's a bit of a slow drag as well in some places. There are some great moments, like the first dance is amazing. It's 20 minutes and it looks beautiful, but overall, I couldn't get into this film. I know lots of people love this film, like directors Martin Scorsese and Brian De Palma, but personally, I just couldn't get into it. So, sorry. Number 5. This is another silent film from the 1920s. I think it was 29, while Sunrise was 27. But this one is a much shorter film. It's only 25 minutes. But it's here because it's odd. It's an experimental film, but it's just odd for me. And this is Un Chat Andalou, aka an Alsatian dog. This one's just a series of images and visual styles just play to each other, and it just looks a bit weird, and some of it's a bit gruesome when it doesn't need to be. I suppose it's trying to be artsy, but without a plot. There isn't a huge amount of plot. There seems to be a plot, but we don't really focus on it. So I think that's the point of the film. But that to me, I'm not really so keen on stuff that don't have a plot or story. If there's no story, what's the point, unless it's going to be a 5 minute short or something? But this is 25 minutes. It's better than an hour and a half of nothing, basically. But at least Sunrise had a story. This one, it just feels a bit odd. But nevertheless, it does have some great imagery, despite some of it being a bit gruesome in some places, and it's actually pretty alright. Just don't say I didn't warn you about that gruesome imagery. And, okay, moving on to story films that I thought were actually really good. Number 4 is Barton Fink. This is probably my least favourite of the Coen brothers films I've seen so far. I've also seen Oh Brother Out Vow, and that other one from 2016, Hail Caesar. I don't think I've seen any others yet. I really want to, though. I want to check out the other films, but out of the ones I've seen so far, this is my least favourite, and it's a bit old. It's the first film. It feels like a drama about a writer who has a writer's block, and then the second film turns it into a murder mystery. So it kind of changes story halfway through. But to be honest, it actually works pretty effectively, and it works really well. And the twist that his neighbour was the villain the whole time was really good. And what's in the box? What could it be? Could it be his the dead girlfriend's head? Could it be something else? Very, very questioning, and some nice little Easter eggs thrown in. It's actually a pretty great film. It's just a little bit hard to follow at some places. Other times it just takes its time to build up to it. But for the most part, it's a pretty great drama / mystery. Okay, so on to the films I really liked. Number 3. Now, this film, when I first watched it, I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it wasn't that great. When I was watching it in the class, I thought I'd give it a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I thought it's okay, pretty good. But after watching it at home for giving it a rewatch, I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good film and had some great stuff going for it, and really enjoyed it a bit more. And this is Suspiria, the original 1977 version. By the way, at time of recording this ranking, I still have not seen the remake from 2018. Funny enough, that we just watched the original just before it was released on. I think it's on Amazon Box or something, and got a limited screening. But anyway, so that film, the remake's another hour, and from what I've heard, the story's a bit different. They change quite a bit of stuff. So yeah, it's still 18 rated though. But the original is a very good mystery horror. It's got some really great elements, and there's some really good stuff. Some of it could have been explained a bit earlier. The stuff that it's witches causing all of this, it's about halfway through the film, I think. They say, what do you know of witches? I was thinking it was ghosts or poltergeists or demons causing these attacks, but then they drop the bombshell, it's witches. Okay. Okay, I mean, you could have told us that a bit earlier. But it's got some really great horror moments, and it's got some really great stuff going for it. I'm wondering why they killed the other lady at the home when they were going after, I think it was Pat, and how she got from the bathroom to over that ceiling glass thing. I'm uncertain. But overall, this is a really good film. It's got some really great moments and some great stuff. And some really tense moments, actually. I think it was Mary, the character, who got caught in the barbed wire and then was stabbed. That was actually quite tensionous scene. I was really, really worried about that. It actually wasn't going to make it. But in the end, it's a great film. Spoiler alert, that character does not make it. But the main character does. But the fact she just walks away smiling whilst witches are crying out in pain as the building burns. Okay, that's a bit of a odd ending, and it was a little bit rushed, but it was worth it. It was a well done ending anyway. So I'm not going to give it too much flack. Number 2. This is the first of the 3 silent films that we watched, and it was easily the best runtime. 45 minutes, which is actually long for a short film of the time it came out, but fair enough. But 45 minutes, it was well paced, the story was actually really good, and it was fun. And this is, of course, Sherlock Jr. Now, Buster Keaton has created another... this is the only one I've seen, but he's created a masterpiece with this film. It's really fun, really enjoyable. Got some great moments, some great set design as well. The only thing I'm not so keen on is that the girl actually goes off and solves the mystery whilst Sherlock Jr. is having his dream. And in the end, she's the one that figures the whole thing out, and it just ends pretty much after she wakes him up. So, most of the film is just a dream, but this dream is a fun, enjoyable, engaging dream, and it works really well. So, yeah, and it's not a bad film. It's really great. It's got some great stuff and some really good moments and really enjoyable stuff. And Buster Keaton is enjoyable as Sherlock Jr. and just really, really fun. So that's why Sherlock Jr. is my favourite of the silent films that we watched. And finally, number 1. Number 1 was a film that... all of these films on this list are US, apart from 4 out of 7 of these films are United States films. Sherlock Jr., Sunrise, Barton Fink, 3 out of 7. Unshut Andalou, I think is French or Belgium, maybe with some American. Suspiria is Italian, and Red Shoes is British. Okay, nearly half the films on this list are American. This last film is from not a Western country, it's from China. And this is Hero. latest film on this list, the only one from the 21st century, whilst the rest were from the 20th. But I'm not being biased here. Look, Sherlock Jr. was the earliest film from 1924. The rest were between then and 2002. So I'm not being biased to a 21st century film. It's just that Hero was generally the best film of the 7. It had the best cinematography, and the best acting, the best stunts, and the best editing. Although some bits, I think some of the sequences could have swapped some places. So like when those guys run up the stairs, you see them coming near the doors, and then you cut back to some of them a bit further down, and then we cut back to them surrounding the place. Some of those sequences could have been moved around a little bit. But most of the editing looks great, and the colours look amazing. See how beautiful Red Shoes were done? It's also done really well here, and it looks so great, and mixed with some superb editing and stunts. And the choreography is just amazing. This film is beautiful from a visual point of view, but it's also objectively a great story, and it just works so well, and that music is just so good. It's such a great story. Got some really great moments, and it's just, I love it. I thought it was an amazing film. Granted, I preferred it on the original, on the first viewing, as opposed to Suspiria, where I preferred it on the second viewing, but it was still really good. And both English and Chinese, English dub and English subtitle versions, because I'm English, are really great. So still really good. In fact, I think the subtitle version, in terms of understanding the story, is better, because some of those things that they say in the subtitle version makes more sense than the dubbed version. But the dubbed version is done really well, and sure, the actors did an amazing job with speaking English in that role, in that spot. Jet Li and Donnie Yen, I believe his name is. Donnie Yen, they definitely are in English-speaking films like Lethal Weapon 4 and Rogue One, respectively. So, I'm sure they were okay with doing it. So, yeah, Hero, it's just fucking beautiful. I love it. So, that's my introduction to film studies, film ranking, and I'll go through the list again. Number 7 was A Song of Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans from 1927. Number 6 was The Red Shoes from 1948. Number 5 was Un Chat Andalou, aka An Alsatian Dog, from 1929. Number 4 was Barton Fink from 1991. Number 3 was Suspiria from 1977, so this is the original version. Number 2 was Sherlock Jr. from 1924. Told you I wasn't being biased. And number 1 is Hero from 2002. Still not being biased. Barton Fink is newer than Suspiria and Sherlock Jr., but that's lower than those films. Un Chat Andalou is older than Red Shoes, and that's higher. So, yeah, I'm not being biased to 21st century films. I'm not being biased to later films, because we look at the list. No, this is just general opinion of the films I watched, and this is the same thing that I want you to understand when going into the Introduction to Film Theory list that I'm going to be doing in a few minutes. So you guys will be able to watch that ranking in a moment, when that comes out. So anyway, thank you for watching my ranking of the Introduction to Film Studies films, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. So